Thanks for joining this week's GoErie live discussion. Today, Erie Times-News reporter Jim Martin will be talking with RJ Messenger about the Discovery Channel show Undercover Billionaire. I'm Erie Times-News online reporter Sarah Grabsky. I'll be moderating your GoErie live comments today. Thanks to Gannon University for sponsoring these live discussions every week. Enjoy the conversation. Jim?
Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining us. Thanks to RJ Messenger for being on with us today. We appreciate it.
Yep.
For everyone who's been following along, for those who haven't, last night was the season finale of Undercover Billionaire, and we got to see, an 8-episode season wrap up. And Glenn Stearns, who is a rich guy, came to Erie and was posing as Glenn Bryant, a guy who didn't have a lot of money, but had a dream of starting a business, and founded what's now Undercover Barbecue or Underdog BBQ,
Yep.
On Westlake Road, with the help of RJ and some other people in town who didn't know that he was a guy with a lot of money. And we saw last night that RJ was given a stake in the company. And let's start at the beginning now. And the other part of the show we should mention from last night, it was Glenn Stearns' goal to have the company be valued at $1 million within 90 days. He fell short of that goal. It was given a valuation of $750,000. And because he fell short of that, Glenn Stearns put $1 million of his own money into the business, a business that RJ now owns a chunk of. But I guess I want to talk about the beginning.
Yep.
This guy in an old beat-up truck came to you looking for a job initially with a camera crew in tow. What were you thinking when he shows up? What's your reaction to this?
Yeah, I behind the scenes, behind all the movie magic and the reality of the TV show, obviously production had previously reached out, pretty much everyone involved, and said, we're looking to film a documentary. We don't know where it's going to go. We don't know if it's going to be Netflix, stream, whatever. And we're looking, for this guy, Glenn. His name's Glenn Bryant, and gave us his background and said, they came to me, and to me they said, if you're hiring, would you mind giving him a position, so he can make some money while he's here. And, this is obviously prior to, the phone call that you see in the show and everything. And I said, yeah.
You should mention you have another business.
Yep. So I own Iron Empire Clothing. We're a retail store. We do our own brand, and we also do like custom screen printing for other companies, schools, whoever. And so I told him, I said, when the time comes, it sounds like a great experience. I'd love to help someone else out, anyone coming to Erie to want to start a business here. I said, if the time's right and I need some help, give me a call, we'll make it happen. And that's what happened. So, he had called and said, I'm looking for a job, or, put the application in. And perfect timing, is right before St. Patrick's Day, right before we're starting to get into our busy season too. So that was there, cameras came in. I was like, honestly, as long as they don't get in the way, this is still my business. This might be your documentary, but this is my business. This is my life. I can't let that interfere with what I have going on.
But of course, in pretty short order, it did exactly that. It's interfering with your life.
100%.
And yeah.
Bad and good.
Yeah, it turns your life upside down. I would assume you're
definitely.
Not only are you selling, swag, St. Patrick's Day swag for the guy, but you're roped into his business dream.
Yeah.
And I don't really have a sense of how much of your time it was taking. Talk about that. How big of a chunk of your life did this sort of take over?
It was, my company, at the time, working a 10, 12, 14-hour day was normal for me.
With Iron Empire?
With Iron Empire alone.
Okay.
So the first couple of weeks, after meeting him, giving him the job, if you're watching the show, we really didn't know I had no idea I was going to actually be helping him create a business. I thought I was going to be able to take advantage of him and say, hey, this guy's in Erie, needs some money. I'll use him to wash some screens and do some stuff around the store. And it was, I think, within a couple of weeks where he had said, this is my idea. What do you say about helping out? And, I told him, I was like, I'm on board. I'll do whatever I can. And as we got deeper and deeper, it took more time away from my business that I could spend on that, because instead of being able to work 10, 12-hour days and only put in 2 or 3 with him, it started to shift. And, there's only so much time in a day, unfortunately. And so then I started to really almost in a sense put my business, put Iron Empire kind of on the back burner. I'll be honest, there's a lot of friends who were customers and customers that I don't want to say I dropped the ball, but I said, I'm not going to be able to do this right now. I got too much going on, and even though this is my baby and this is my obligation, I'm either all in or I'm not. And I wasn't going to say, hey, Glenn, a month in, I can't do this anymore. It's taking up too much time.
But for people who weren't watching the show, you're not getting any money for this.
No, there was never ever talks about any kind of compensation, any kind of payback in the end. For everyone involved, we truly did it because we wanted to help this guy. And let's just be honest, I think if you ask every single one of us, cameras obviously were, hey, you know what? If anything, we'll be in a cool documentary on Netflix that a couple 100,000 people might see and might get a couple orders for my business. Sure. If that's it, then that's it. Great. But none of us were ever promised or guaranteed anything in the beginning to make us want to keep going this course with them.
You seem like a smart guy, though. At some point, do you Google this guy? Okay, who's Glenn Bryant?
I just think every single one of us tried to find out who he was, and there was nothing.
You had a wall.
And nowadays with social media, I mean, I'm sure you can type my name in, and there's a lot of stuff I probably don't want to come up. And and nothing came up for this guy at all. And I said, okay, maybe there's something else to it. But it got to the point where I didn't even care. I said, no matter who he is, he's in Erie, he's in my city that I love, and I will continue to do whatever I can to make the city better through business, through outside of business, whatever it is. And it wouldn't make sense for me to say, yes, I love my city and I want to help my city and I want to see it grow, especially with entrepreneurship. But then some guy come here with a camera crew and say, I want to start a business, and me be like, sorry, I can't do it. Go find someone else. And there's a lot of people that did that, who preach about wanting to make the city better, and they want nothing to do with it. Mm-hmm. So I'm very proud to say that, yes, I was one of those few people that stuck it out and really did this, for, I guess, the greater cause that we thought.
We were talking...
Can I interrupt with a question?
Sure.
A lot of people are asking RJ, are you in charge of Underdog? What percentage of the business does Glenn own? Kind of what is your role with Underdog BBQ? So,
I mean, I'll speak on my behalf, from what I know, for me personally. If you didn't watch the finale, there's a spoiler alert, so X out, stop listening, mute it or something. So at the end of it, I was offered a position as director of Underdog BBQ Sauces, Rubs, and Apparel. And I own 10% of that, and I get a paid salary through that company. Technically, the restaurant is its own thing, and there's actually Erie people in that restaurant that have ownership and profit shares of the restaurant. I'm under that umbrella with my own Sauces, Rubs, and Apparel company. I'm doing online orders for sauces. My company, Iron Empire, is obviously wholesaling and printing the shirts for Underdog BBQ for the restaurant and the online company. Not to mention, after the show aired last night, I woke up to about 500 online orders this morning that I've got my employees at the warehouse right now scrambling around trying to...
Sure, that was welcome.
Yeah, it was a good wake-up call. It woke me up real quick.
To follow up on that question, are you involved with the restaurant itself?
I personally am not. I don't have a day-to-day role in the restaurant. Mm-hmm. None of us actually involved in the show, really. The core, Chris Norris, Chris Trott, Don, Matt, none of us actually have roles in the restaurant. He gave that to the people that work in the restaurant. You got the manager and the kitchen staff. There's people there that's their lives. So I work one-on-one with the restaurant. I work one-on-one with Kelsey, the manager there, make sure that they have shirts, make sure they have their sauces. Right. I work with the manufacturers and take a little bit off her plate then.
We were talking off air, and I don't think we have time to really go into all this, about some of the small and large fictions that take place in reality TV. Yeah. But let me go to what some people see as, they question as a fiction, and
of course,
you can tell me whether it is or not. It was the first time for you folks to be involved in a rib competition. You're starting from nothing, and you win, or you tie to win Rib Fest. You're a couple days before, you didn't have anything.
Yep.
Was that for real?
My first thought when I heard that, I personally thought it was rigged. I was like, I'm like, great, it's cool, we're gonna get an award, but there's no way. After, and she talks about it actually in that episode, everything is, what's the word I'm looking for? Not confidential, but there's no names on anything. When everything gets taken up to that stand, it's by number for each of the Ribfest tents that are down there. And the judges get a piece of paper, and as they try ribs, they see what the number is, and they rate on a scale of 1 to 10 or whatever it is for each thing that they're tasting. And they judge it themselves. And then those numbers are added up. Not even, I think, Kathy, who runs Ribfest, knows exactly whose numbers belong to what until she goes through and says, all right, number 14 won this, who's number 14, and goes and looks.
So as far as you know, it was legitimate.
Yeah, I can easily say that, as far as I know, and I don't see how there could be any other way that could have been rigged, except for, the people on social media that claim it is.
When I talked to Glenn the other day, he had a lot of good things to say about basically everyone involved. But the same token, when I saw him, on the show, he was at times tough on virtually everyone at some point or another, and sometimes apart from people, he would say, so-and-so's got to kick it up. They've got to do harder. I'm going to try and motivate them here. Was it ever hard seeing yourself on TV and think, wow, he's kicking my butt, he's doing this, he's doing that? What was it like seeing yourself out there and thinking, well, people aren't going to get the whole perspective of
100%.
RJ?
Yeah, no.
Talk to me about that.
That's a good question, because I got a lot of that, especially the 1 or 2 episodes where I was like the bullseye. And all I say to that is I loved it. If you can't take constructive criticism, whether it's in your life, in your business, you're never going to grow. You're never going to get to that next step. If I want to be butthurt about everything people want to say right now on social media about, Iron Empire or Underdog, or, hey, your food, wasn't good, this and that, whatever. If I just got butthurt about that and never wanted to change or correct that, you're never going to get anywhere in life. So to me, even though I'm watching a show with everyone, the rest of the world, I was watching it for the first time basically because I didn't know how they were going to edit it out. And I saw that, and I'm sitting there with my girlfriend, I'm like, man, like, he's really dogging me. And I'm getting texts from people being like, man, like, why is he saying that? And I'm like, honestly, like, it is what it is. I mean, it's not,
so you weren't
it's
angry
not wrong.
Nothing really made you angry, nothing really?
Nope. I wish I would have known that during the show, because it probably would have kicked me in the butt even more while we were filming to go in overdrive a little bit.
You're getting a lot of love, which is good. Glad RJ stands by his words and takes actions to improve the Erie area. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Kathy Danielson, who produces the Erie Rib Fest, was watching, and she gave your answer a thumbs up. So
good.
There you go.
Glad I did you well, Kathy. I just saw her last night. She was at the restaurant, and big supporter. We love her.
Anything else about the show itself, as opposed to your real experience, was there anything that did surprise you about how things came out on TV as opposed to what you experienced? Was there anything that didn't sit well with you that wish people had seen more of, had seen differently?
Yeah, I think overall, I just had a conversation actually with Glenn today on the phone about a few things about the finale. Me personally, there was one part of the finale, there's something that was left out, and if you're friends with me on social media, I'm sure you've seen it so far. Kelsey, our manager at the restaurant, let's just say she not only didn't get the recognition she deserved, but didn't get any of it. She wasn't acknowledged in the finale, and that's what it comes down to. They filmed for 90 plus days even before that. The conversation I had with Glenn, they were filming him a year before this even happened, with him having his surgeries for his cancer and stuff like that, which is something they actually didn't bring up in the show. And they can only take so much of thousands of hours of footage and put it into an 8-episode series. So it's unfortunate that there was things that were left out and not talked about or not brought to the light. But I mean, that's part of, if you want to call reality TV, they're going to take the footage, and whether it's good or bad, they're going to do what they want with it. They're going to make a TV show out of it without us being like, hey, no, you got to show this. Not even Glenn had a say in what went in the end. He's watching the shows just like us for the first time. And I know that there was a lot of moments during episodes where we were like, oh, that 5-hour conversation didn't even happen, so.
Anything else?
We got another
comment
ahead. That kind of goes to that.
Yeah.
And this is a few questions in one comment.
Okay.
How was he able to get a house if he wasn't using his real name? How was he able to get everyone like you, RJ, to work for him without promise of payment, at least as it was shown to viewers. What did viewers not see, and how do you think his actions are able to be replicated by actual non-billionaires? So that's like 4 questions in one.
Yeah, that's a lot of questions.
So how was he able to get a house without using his real name?
He told me
he answered that.
Yeah.
And he had a good response to that. So if you ask that question, go to their Facebook page and read that answer, because I'm not going to answer it.
He told me, he answered that in an interview that he said he wanted to create a situation where the average person could get the house, but he said he used his real name because to do otherwise would be bank fraud.
Bank fraud, exactly.
Right. Okay, so how was he able to get everyone like you, RJ, to work for him without promise of payment, like it was shown to the viewers?
I mean, there wasn't anything he could or couldn't have done. It was our decision from the beginning. You know, at any point I could have pulled the plug and backed out. Again, you know, I love my city, and whether you're from Erie or not, if I can help someone follow their passion. Again, in my eyes, this guy was 55 years old, had nothing going on in his life, and for some reason chose Erie, Pennsylvania out of the entire country to want to try and start a business and have this documentary crew follow him. So of course, you know, I took that opportunity to say, you know what, like, I'll help prove that Erie is that city where anyone from anywhere in the country or world can come here and want to start a business, and they're going to get the help that they need.
And then lastly, you were kind of talking about this earlier, what are some things the viewers did not see?
They saw, or they didn't see a lot of everything. You know, I talked to Glenn on the phone today for a little bit. He had mentioned, you know, he's good friends with John Elway. He was filmed for the show, had a lot of good things to say. He didn't make it in the show. Glenn had surgery at the end of last year, pretty serious surgery, and they were following him around, and none of that made the show. Here locally, there was a lot of interviews, things that I was involved in that never made the cut. A lot of drama too. A lot of drama. I think I had a couple freakouts on camera crew and stuff. I think they actually showed a little preview of it in the very first episode towards the end. We were under the tent for Ribfest, and I was yelling. I was looking at the camera, and because I was yelling at about 8 people, telling them to leave us alone, and this is our lives, and they can, you know. I don't.
Are you glad to see some of those cut?
Yeah. They still put a few of those in to make me, you know, look like that guy, which is fine. But
what about the ones with Kathy, who was running the barbecue operation for a while, and then she got cut? Did you feel for her a little bit to see her cut out of the operation?
Kelsey, the manager of the Ribfest lady.
The woman who was cut out of, who was in charge at Ribfest and then left.
Christine.
Christine, I'm
Christine.
sorry. Christine, I'm sorry.
All right, so what was your question about her? Sorry.
Was it difficult to see her eliminated?
It was. It was. You know, we still talk to her to this day. You know, she's still involved in some text messages, and she's doing really good for herself. She has a lot going on. And I personally, you know, I told Glenn off camera after that decision was made that day, I said, whatever judgment you make or do or made or whatever, I'm with you 100%. You know, what came down to it, he had to make the decision on behalf of the business. So,
no.
Another question about the people who are really into this cars. When Glenn was selling cars, why were they sold out of town, not in Erie? It was 6 to 8 hours away in Chambersburg.
I think you have an answer for that, too.
Yeah, he alluded to that to me when we talked, that he was having a lot of difficulty first obtaining the cars in Erie. He couldn't find. I think the problem had more to do with acquiring the cars from a local dealer rather than selling them, because he said when he went to local dealerships, everyone seemed to be convinced that he was part of a sting operation. He's showing up with a camera crew, and he couldn't find a local dealership to cooperate. So he went out of town to find to find a dealer to sell him the car. And I think that once he had acquired the cars out of town, he simply decided to sell them out of town.
And I will say too, I'll wait for anyone to find it. If you actually find where they say that he claims he sold those cars or bought those cars in Erie, let me know, because I don't remember seeing that either.
I mean, in fairness, it was a reasonable conclusion to draw for people.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. The show's based in Erie, but again, I think they never they made sure that they never said, hey, I'm selling this car at the lot of whatever. I think they made sure not to try and put those out there just in case of this happening.
So what about the...
One more follow-up question to that. Sorry, Jim. Somebody, and maybe he shared this with you, RJ, what made Glenn choose Erie?
So it was actually the production crew. Glenn had no idea he was being dropped off in Erie. He told them anywhere in the world, drop him off and he can do this. So it actually wasn't his decision. It was the production crew. I know they spent a long time scouting a lot of different cities around the country.
So I know you're not, completely involved in the restaurant, but what about the money he put in?
Yep.
How is that money going to be used? It's already been deployed, I assume. Has he put it out there? What does it do?
So I mean, I'll just say from experience, any business, especially on that level, I have a small clothing line, a screen printing company. I started that business with $300 out of my own pocket and grew it to what it is today. Getting into like a restaurant business with, right now they employ, I think, over 50 employees, have people on salary full time, all the overhead, everything there. And in the restaurant and bar industry, there's not much money to be. The profit margins are small.
Right.
So for him to say, "Yep, we're gonna start a business and put 10 grand in," like, you're gonna go through that in probably a week and a half. And without knowing the success of the business, I mean, that money he's putting in, they have new equipment. They did buy a new smoker that's out on the patio.
Right.
And more than anything, he looks at that as, that's startup funds. That's for the business to be able to operate without worrying about sales day to day, where they can really focus on growing the business over the next year. And but they're absolutely killing it. Every time they hit a new milestone, they break it by a couple $1,000s the next weekend, and it just keeps,
You're
keeps
pretty
multiplying.
confident in business going forward.
100%. If I wasn't, I wouldn't still be involved with it right now.
Good question. RJ, as an entrepreneur, what was your biggest lesson learned from this experience?
Always trust your judgment, your gut instinct. From the beginning, there was something about him personally. Him and I, off camera, got to know each other very, very well. I consider him probably one of my best friends right now. And if you're given an opportunity, don't be scared to take that leap, or don't be scared to take that opportunity just because you don't know the outcome. And I'll use this as a perfect example. Again, I say that I would have been better off, or luckier, or better off, not better off, but I would have, should I word it? If I would have hit the lottery for $10 million, I feel like I would have been luckier this happening to me than that. If I'm wording that the right way. I'm not good with words, by the way, if you can't figure that out. Like, basically, like, this guy, not knowing who he was, chose any city. Production crew picked Erie, Pennsylvania, out of every city in the country. They fly here to do this documentary, end up being a show for Discovery Channel. And I'm one of the top 5 people that they picked to be involved with it. I could have easily said in the beginning, like, I don't know who this guy is. I don't care for the cameras. I don't care for him to try and start a business here, or any outcome or any pay. And I could have walked away at any minute. But I kept up with it. I didn't give up, especially when I wanted to, when things got hard, because they get hard over the 90 days. And look what, it's life-changing. It's a life-changing experience. And always follow your gut instinct. Any opportunity you're ever given, don't pass it up because of fear or because of not knowing what the outcome's going to be.
Watching last night, and you talked about being a good friend, and that seems real legitimate. I didn't see when he revealed to the close group that he wasn't who he said he was. I didn't sense any real sense of shock. Didn't seem all that great.
Yep.
And I didn't sense a lot of anger in the room. Was there a real sense of betrayal?
I can 100%. Nobody in that room felt betrayed at all. I think the only betrayal that was ever felt was people in the beginning that chose not to be involved because he was Glenn Bryant and not Glenn Stearns, the billionaire.
Right.
And they made that choice on their own, whoever that was. And no harm, no foul. But all of us who stuck it out for that 90 days, none of us were upset that he didn't tell us who he was, because we fell in love and we learned to know Glenn as Glenn Bryant, not Glenn Stearns.
Mm-hmm.
Still to this day, I even still think I have him in my phone as Glenn Bryan. I actually don't ever think I changed that. I'll always know him and look at him as the guy driving the beat-up blue pickup truck around.
We're getting so many questions.
Oh, boy.
Well, and this is probably not your call, but will we see an Underdog BBQ reality show series?
I hope so. I'm sure some people in my family, my girlfriend might not, but I would love to see something else or a spinoff happen. I will say that I've heard little rumors here and there about something else happening from this, just because there is so much more to the story. There's so much more to the people involved, because in reality, it's not about Glenn. It's about the people that are running this business now. Not that he's not running it. He's involved day to day on the phone with myself, with Matt, with Kelsey, with Don or Chris about the foundation that he started. But the people involved in the business now and keeping us running, there's so much more that could be told, and the story and follow up. So it's possible. We'll see.
And this kind of seems like a no-brainer, but why is the house still for sale? Somebody found it on Zillow.
I believe from what, do you have an answer?
I don't.
From what I actually don't know that answer, but from what I believe is the purpose of selling it was to sell it to someone that wanted to put more money and flip it. So, I mean, I don't claim to be smart or a genius or anything, but that would be my first gut instinct.
Yeah, I think he was selling it to a real estate.
Yeah, to someone to flip it.
Not a homeowner. Yeah,
exactly.
That jogs in my memory.
But again, I could be wrong, so don't hold me to that.
This is maybe a little bit too personal.
It's going
RJ,
to be.
Were you an actor before the show? Somebody Googled you after the first show, and Google shows you as an actor.
Yeah, so years ago, I was involved in a Lionsgate Films movie. I was in a movie called Warrior with Tom Hardy and Joel Egerton and a few people. Got to do a photography book with that. They flew me out for the red carpet premiere and everything. I was in a Jay-Z music video. I thought I was going to be an actor a long time ago, and ended up selling T-shirts and working for the city.
Somebody also asked, again, might be a little bit weird, but did Glenn hit someone on a motorcycle leaving a bar or something? And said, sorry that we skipped your question. Hold on. I'm scrolling back up to see if I can find it. In the meantime, did Glenn really hit someone on a motorcycle in Erie after leaving a local bar?
I don't believe so, because I'm sure we would have knew about that.
Right.
And Glenn doesn't really drink. He's not a bar guy.
There you go.
So I can't see that happening.
Somebody asked, congrats on Underdog BBQ. Will you bring back Iron Empire?
All right, maybe. All right, so yes. I haven't officially announced it yet, but you're hearing it first. My new store should be open in about 3 to 4 weeks. I'm not telling it. I won't say where yet, but yes, we will be back open in a couple weeks. We're working on it now. They're finishing to build out, and I'm excited to get back in the swing of things with that. And I will say, if it wasn't for this show and meeting Glenn, my new store wouldn't be happening. Let's just put it that way.
Sorry if you already answered this, so maybe go over this again, because we got this question a lot. How much percentage does Glenn own? Like, what's your role with the...
I'm not sure about anyone else except for myself. I just know that I was offered 10% ownership of, as they state in the finale, of the Rub Sauces and Apparel company.
What's the strategy on Undergrog beer going national?
That I don't know. That would be a Matt question. Matt's handling the Undergrog and the beer side of things. I know they've had 100 different ideas on how to do that. But I think they're still trying to get through some of that, like, red tape and the legalities of stuff. But again, my day-to-day is online orders, sauces, working with the manufacturers, T-shirts, stuff like that.
Okay, I think you can take it back over, Jim. I'm sorry.
No problem. No problem at all.
I hijacked for a second.
Not a problem. It seemed like, do you feel like you were well compensated or fairly compensated for what you did?
Yeah, and I'll give both sides. So yes, it's funny because if you watch finale and I say I can't take that.
You were the only person who did that.
Mm-hmm. It It was a 10 or 15 minute argument, I would say, between me and him, because I kept telling him, like, I can't take that. Like,
why'd you do that?
I don't know. I didn't do it for the money. And this didn't make the cut, but I said to him, I said, I don't like handouts. And I felt like it was a handout. But what changed is he told me, he's like, listen, I broke down the hours you worked for the last 90 plus days, and this is what your time is worth to me. He's like, I'm compensating you for 90 days. This isn't a reward. It's not a gift. So, I obviously did take it. And unfortunately, again, going back to me putting Iron Empire kind of on the back burner, 3 months of personal and business bills adding up is a lot of money. So I will say I struggled very hard financially for a couple months, and that helped me, get back to, we'll basically say, get back to even and get up and running again. So.
Yeah, I would think that seems like probably fair compensation considering what you lost.
Yeah. Yep. And there's no way. I mean, he asked me, he's like, how many hours have you? And I'm like, I didn't track a single hour. I don't do that. When I go into Iron Empire, I don't clock in, I don't clock out. Whether I work a 4-hour day or a 20-hour day, I mean, it's work to me, it's my business. So I didn't keep track of actual hours.
Question, Sarah?
Will you be looking for employees for your new store?
I will be. I do have a few lined up already. They're the ones that are in the warehouse sweating profusely, packaging hundreds of orders right now. But I will be looking for some part-time help. Honestly, usually I like to use Facebook to my advantage. I'll post like a job from our Facebook page. I'll probably need a couple part-time people, to do this kind of stuff, package orders, because out of the new Iron Empire store, I will be running my sausage rubs and apparel company out of as well. So I'll be utilizing Iron Empire to ship for Underdog, to store the sauces, ship that stuff out too. So I will be looking for a handful of people.
How did they get a liquor license so quickly?
It actually came with the building. It came with the lease.
Okay. Do you think it was fair that the first cook only got $10K when she was there most of the time? Everyone else was. She did just as much work as the people who got $20K. She was there up until the end.
So whether she got $10,000 or $50,000, none of that's my business. And good. I'm glad for her that she got that. But I will say, as far as time goes, she actually didn't come into the picture probably up until about 2 weeks before RibFest started. So the rest of us who were there since day one when he got here, I would say that would be, to me, that would be fair if you want to talk about numbers. She didn't come into the picture until we were ready to hire someone for RibFest.
RJ, in one episode you said you heard of Cowboy Mike from a local barbecue group. Did you hear that from Glenn? Because he met Mike at our house. That's when Mike told him he could win RibFest. I think it was Glenn had met with this group. I think it's called the Man BBQ or something like that. And everything Glenn heard about him was really good. And I think that's when he met Mike. And when I was putting the barbecue stuff together, his name was brought up. So I said, yeah, let's bring him in. And this is, how I know him and know him from.
Okay. One other thing. We've talked a lot around here about when the national media comes to town in one form or another, whether it's to do a TV spot, how Erie comes across to the world. Sometimes it's the Rust Belt city. Sometimes it's favorable. Sometimes it's not. I'm curious what you think. What impression you think Erie left in the world after this show? I mean, there's certainly some Rust Belt images, but overall, what image do you think that Erie left?
So I'll answer that and then kind of go back a little bit to give a little bit of an overview. If you want to know what the rest of the world thinks about it, go to our social media pages. I think we just made a post last night saying thank you, blah, 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 and go read the hundreds of comments from people all over the entire world saying we watch a show, we're inspired, everything else. So that would be my answer for that. Let the rest of the world speak for that. And I had a lot of people, the first 2 or 3 episodes, hey, they're really portraying Erie and, dilapidated warehouses and this and that. And I said, I can't speak for them, but as far as I'm concerned, they want you to see Erie through Glenn's eyes. When this guy comes here and drives around in a pickup truck and has nowhere to live, he's not going to be driving around, Brentwood Hills or Frontier, and he's going to be looking for the places where he can go get scrap or go do this. So of course you're going to see that. And obviously, as he started to meet some of us, get some more connections in Erie, you got to see the bigger picture of Erie. You got to see the SBDC. You got to see a lot of the local businesses and the breweries and stuff like that. So, I mean, there was definitely, I think, a transition that they wanted to be able to show the viewers who aren't from Erie and don't understand anything about the city.
So we're approaching 35 minutes, so there's
boy.
Still, I know. Were scrapyards he went to really abandoned, and how did he sleep on Dobbins Landing in his truck without the police stopping him?
I wasn't in the back of his pickup truck when he was sleeping, so I can't answer that for you. I'm sorry. And as far as the scrapyards, I actually didn't even know about that until I watched the show. So I didn't know he was doing that. So I can't give you an answer for that either. But I will say, everyone that wants to try and pick apart the show and how did he sleep in the truck on Dobbins, how did he go in the scrapyards, go to a city where you don't know where you're going with $100 and tell me that you won't go and probably try and do the same things. If you're at rock bottom, you have $100 in your name and that's it, no matter how much movie magic is going on, put me in Cleveland, Pittsburgh, wherever, with $100 where I know nobody, or a Rust Belt city, if you want to call it that. I will probably be sleeping in my truck anywhere I can find where it's not in a bad neighborhood, and probably be hitting up scrap yards and tire places. And if you want to call me a thief because I'm stealing stuff, it comes down to survival, and I would do whatever I had to do. So I don't blame him for doing that at all.
Let's take one more question, and then we'll wrap it up.
Okay.
In your opinion, and you kind of just already answered this, but you might want to elaborate a little bit, how should this experience shape someone's thinking about being successful living in Erie?
I think the biggest takeaway from it all is, if you strip away who he is as a person, in real life, a billionaire, the money, the hundreds of businesses he's involved with, whatever, the bigger picture of it all was to show that anyone can come here and get the help if they really want to. I've never seen someone work as hard as he did in 90 days to make something happen, with the little resources he had. And there's not going to be very many people coming here with only $100 to say they want to start a business. So I can walk out there right now and have a conversation with someone and say, listen, I can't do this. I'm going to tell you that you're wrong. Cameras or not, he made it happen with the help of all of us. There's no reason why nobody can come to this city and be successful. And if you think there is, I'm not hard to find. Let's come talk, and I'll get you on the right track.
RJ, great way to wrap it up.
Yep.
Appreciate very much your time. Congratulations on the show and the business.
Yep.
Everyone, thanks very much. Have a good afternoon.
Thanks so much to everyone who joined in and participated in this week's GoErie Live discussion. This video will be available for replay on the GoErie Facebook and on the Underdog BBQ Facebook and on the GoErie homepage as well. Thanks again to Gannon University for sponsoring this discussion, and thanks to RJ for being so open and honest and for joining us today. You can find upcoming topics and guests on the GoErie Facebook page each week. Thanks for listening.